All right, everybody. Welcome to Training Without Conflict, podcast number 29. This time, I'm very happy to have a conversation with Edgar Scherkel. And I don't know how much introduction Edgar needs, particularly for the people that do IGP, and especially if they do any more competitive sports. Very, very, very instrumental in the IGP world. Edgar, thank you for making this happen. Very happy that we finally were able to connect, so we can just talk about dogs and everything.
Take a long time.
It did take a long time, but we make it happen, no question.
Yeah, we make it happen.
I know, like, if I start to list everything that you have done from when you started to today, including how many dogs, how many world championships, how many different national championships you have won, how many world championships you judged, you did helper work at the world championships, in fact, back with Django. So if I start to put all that, I think we're going to spend good 1 hour talking about memories and good times and bad times.
No, we talk about important things.
But I'm sure everything's going to come up in the conversations because we have to go back in time. Something more selfish because, as we were deciding to do the podcast, I'm like, who? And I'm like, there is no way I cannot have one with Edgar. And then I'm starting to think, well, when did I first met you? And I think it goes as far as Breden, 1994, when was the actual real world championship for the Belgian Shepherds. I believe you had Arco at the time, right?
Yes, I have Arco at the time.
Yeah. And I had Nikita de Diopotois. And that was, for me, that was the very first kind of really big thing coming from the States back to Belgium, where I used to live for a moment. But now I'm looking at it at a very different light, a big championship with all these names that, we didn't have YouTube, we didn't know each other, we didn't, everybody would do something a little different. So it was very interesting times. And that's kind of where I think it was the very first time that I met, that we were around each other, but not necessarily talking or anything. I didn't dare talk to anybody at the time. I was like a very beginner, and you guys were all like, when I think about, I think it was what was the Austrian guy that won that year? I don't think I remember. He's a judge now.
The Austrian guy was Gerald Scheirer.
Yeah,
Gerald. Löwenfeld.
Yeah, Gerald, and then there were so many names back at the time. But I guess what is interesting for me is how did you get into the dogs? Like that's a side that I don't know, and I don't think many people know.
It's a funny story, Leslie.
I'm ready.
We saw it. No, for sure, it was a little bit like this. I every time want to have a dog, but my parents say, when you became a teenager, you don't take care about the dog, and my parents are coming from a little bit, they fly with gliders. My father. So I was all the time on the little airport for the gliders until I was 16 years. Then I get a dog. I also was flying, but in the moment I get a dog, it stopped immediately. And then it was really funny because I was thinking, okay, my dad has a little bit panic of dogs. So I met a guy. We were working for him, and he said, okay, I go with you to a breeder. And there was some puppies, I think they were so 8 weeks old and really super, and everybody was playing. And beside was a 12-week-old female. She sit in the hole and don't come up and say, "Oh, this is nice. This I want to have." And so I start dog sport.
What breed was that?
It was in, oh my God.
No, breed, like a
It was a German Shepherd.
German Shepherd, yeah. Yeah.
A German Shepherd. It was a German Shepherd female. And I do with her, my first IGP3 was 196 and 13 points in protection. I tried to do it the second time, but it don't work. And so I make more or less 60 times FH with the dogs. Wow. Yeah. So, and then it goes on. And then I became, after this, I have a Doberman, a Rottweiler, and then I come to the Malinois. So this was.
So, but you pretty much right away got the feel of the dog sport world.
I have, in this time, we have a really, I think we had a good trainer. He was coming from boxing, and the important thing what he teach was to be honest and to be loyal. Mm-hmm. So, and it was so amazing that he exactly know when I can put the leash off in the free healing. For me, it was amazing in this time. So that my dog don't go away and follow me. It was nice, yes.
Oh, that's funny. And then, how did so you went through a few different breeds, and how did you stop the Malinois? How did that happen?
I do helper work in 2 German championships. In this time, it was not this VDH for all breeds because it was in the sport club. It was in this time was DHV, and so I was 2 times helper. And then I met Volker Riedel in this time, and he was also competing with his dog. And in this moment, we get in contact, and then the story starts. Yeah. And then I became Malinois, go into the club, became directly was a helper, and for breed was a master for, not master for breeding, but I start this to select dogs.
Yeah. So the DMC already was formed, right?
Yeah. It was the first our first chairman was Peter Engel, and he was a long time. He was leading the club, but yeah, now I'm in the same situation. If you do it for a long time, then you need to stop sometimes. It's like it is. You don't can do it until the end because it's time is changing.
Yeah, times are changing for sure, always, and also the passion starts to,
The motivation was higher in the beginning. The motivation
yes,
was
of
higher.
course. I mean, between him and Volker, I mean that's pretty much how, as far as I know, how Malinois just came into Germany. In everybody was like, I want to have one of them. And I think it wasn't even as easy to get a good Malinois at the time, but people started to really pay attention, right?
It was in this time was a lot of Belgium and Holland blood what we have. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was in the beginning like this. The dog became they put it from some places and then they get the pedigree. It was like it is. Yeah. It's a long time ago, but in this way it begins. Yeah,
that's right. The never-ending story.
This funny situation when we go to. I need to pick up a dog for some guy in Belgium, the Departoire, and when I was bad, Anzenburger, he said, "Okay, look, we go to a farm." Then he opened 3 doors. And from 3 doors coming, three three crowds of puppies, they come together and say, oh, this is the Malinois. And then they say, okay, this needs to be here, this needs to be there, and this is going there. So in this time it was like this, but the dogs were not bad.
Yes, I remember these times. That's how I got into it with Luc Van den Broek. It was, yeah, when I go back in time, the same thing.
I think now it became a little bit too tight. It's a little bit too much administration. There are too much rules in all the things. And I also make the mistakes and go too much into this side.
I mean, it's a natural, as long as we keep trying and keep thinking, being aware and going, you know, finding the mistakes and finding ways to get back to the roots if we need to, or move away, right? But we always gotta try. Man, I am like, there's just questions in my head right now, and I don't know. I don't even know where to start, you know? So I know I'm gonna bounce all over the place, and that's okay. What was the reason for the Kyorong for the DMC? Like, that's something that we always hear, but like, how did it, what made the reason for it?
The idea was selection for a dog who can do a little bit more than we expect in the sport. And that we say, okay, something is extra that we can use for breeding. Mm-hmm. This was, I think, the idea. So this was the main idea. But then it goes more and more to a little show, more or less. It was good. It was like, okay, it was like in old Rome. The people need this game. Yeah, they need the game, they need the gladiators, and they need that to see, okay. And it was in the beginning like this, when a dog passed this Kyorong, it was like something extra. The dog handlers were really proud about it, because we have a normal breeding test, and then we have this Kyorong. So more or less it was like hardcore, yeah, fighting in a cage, something like that.
Right. And in the beginning, because I of course pay attention to, and it seems like you, in the beginning, the Kyorong, like you had more freedom to see, oh, I can explore a little something here with that dog. You had that freedom to where later on it became very more strict, where you had to do the same thing, and even if it became a little harder to say, oh, that dog is really good. Or am I wrong?
No, you're right. It became more and more, it became a system. And when you go a system, then it's able to train in the system. The thing was a little bit that it was not anymore able to work in the suit in Germany.
Mm-hmm. Right.
For a period of time. And for me, every time was really important to have this communication with the dog, to do the fight with the dog. But when the dog was good, also to show that the dog was good. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
So you go into the fight and you show that in the beginning, when he can do it, that he became the winner, that he is a winner. And then we get another generation of helpers who are doing this, and they were more technical. They make it not so much with the brain thing. They make it more with the body.
Right, not enough feeling in there.
No, it's not. It's more. It became more like a technical thing, but not the thing that you go into the dog, into the brain of the dog. This was a little bit. Maybe not a lot of people can do it, but to see and make this communication with the eyes. And,
yeah. Just the mental pressure, put and take away,
pressure,
right?
Yes. And for mental pressure, sometimes it's more static, and sometimes it's a little bit more to go more on the frustration side, a little bit like that.
That's right, and that's where every dog can respond on either more direct or more, but when the people are watching and they're like, well, you're doing this to that dog, but you're doing different to that dog, and that becomes the problem, right? And then you have to kind of start to make it more of a unified, like a standard. That's what we can do, and now everybody can prepare a little bit.
But this was not the idea. The idea was, okay, you can prepare for the small test, but for the curling, it was in the end was like, this is freestyle.
Yeah. You know, when I watched, like, I don't even know how those were the VHS type times, but I would watch them, and they used to be way back, like, you know, the one test with the guy sitting with the newspaper, but then you start to see the dogs, they know what's coming, so they're like, you know, it's the surprise is not there anymore, and now it becomes so. How did you guys start to, like, how I guess in the breed, how did the breed, do you think, evolved in Germany because of the Kjolon?
After all these years, I think it's not so important.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not so important.
Which is strange how nature has its way.
Bit frustrated. Maybe I'm a little bit frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can explain it a little bit, because if you became more and more, if you put it more and more in a box and give no space around, in this moment, then you create a little system, and this became more. Then you have more stress also with the people, because something every time goes a little bit wrong, and then the people say, oh, this was a little bit different from here, and that was a little bit different from there. But what they want in the end, they want to have a good test for good results for the dog. It's not interesting what the dog really is. They only want to have a good result for the dog. And this is a little bit the problem. So we go a little bit away from the honest way. We became a little bit more like, and then when you see this during the years, then you say, okay, it's not anymore so important.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
It's not anymore so important. On the other side, our society here is crazy. In Germany became crazy, completely crazy, because of the animal rules and everything. And it's a little bit more. So maybe one example: if somebody really make pressure to kids or to a woman, then it's not so they don't punish you so hard if you do it to a dog. You understand what I mean? And this is completely strange.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it's fixated, and we should say this like you've been. I don't know for how long you've been a judge.
Oh, I don't know.
It's been a long time, but you've judged.
I think it's I think more or less 1999 or 1998, something like that.
Yeah, and you've judged pretty much any big championship in Germany many times. You've judged at least 2-3 times FMBB. You've been supervisor. You were at the FCI Commission. Are you still at the FMBB?
Yes.
You are, right? So when you talk about judging and evolution and times changing, like I'm just giving that background to the people that listen, because it's important that it comes out from experience, from a long time experience, and it's important to be noted. But yeah, the sport, if it's a sport or whatever we want to call it, it is changing. It is changing, and how much influence somebody has to where the sport is going, how it's changing. Like, how do we make decision where to go forward?
This is a good question. This is a good question. I think we have one huge problem. We had too much individuals that are a little bit too stubborn to build a community. So it's when you go to a competition, like how it works in a competition. The most of the time, the people are maybe look what he has and what they have and blah 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 blah. In the end, but it's not that we say, okay, this is a line here we can follow and this we can do. I think this is for the problem have a lot of source. The main problem is that the people who are leading in the sport, who makes the politics.
You mean like in the FCI commission?
They are far away, really far away from the practice, and most of the time they have a career on this political way. They don't have spent so much time in the mud of tracking,
right?
In obedience and the frustration and in the protection and all the things. This is so much what you need to do. And in this moment, if you don't have this, if you don't need to work hard for that, then you have less respect for that, what the dog handlers are doing.
Right. Yeah, this is an interesting conversation, and I know sometimes people don't like me when I talk about this, but whenever I talk with competitors, and quite often we feel like we don't get, like our sport doesn't get defended and protected. We always bend down to whatever the next demand of some organization is, and it just seems like if we keep going like this, it will never end. And in some years from now, maybe we are all doing agility. Who knows?
Who knows? Yes. But look, if you make a mistake, or if somebody I make a lot of mistakes, and every time I need to pay for it. But then the people use it. They use it for personal things, and they don't think what is coming after that. If they put videos, etc., and you know what I mean.
Yeah. Of course, this is a.
The only thing what I need to where I was a little bit expressed was when the things happened with the video from Ukraine. Then a lot of people okay, and a lot of people want to punish me in FCI, of course, and then we have also the discussion in FMBB, and I was really impressed when Johan say a high tree catch a lot of wind. So this is the end of the story. This is the end of the story, and they look from another point of view, and I'm really happy that we have in this FMBB these commissions, and the commissions are responsible for the judges, and the commissions are only, every member is from another country, and we have people inside who are really trained dogs and really have knowledge about dogs, and on the other side also, it's an open discussion. We can fight against each other, but not in a personal way. You know what I mean?
Right. No,
this is okay.
Arguments are important to be had, you know.
Sometimes. So FMBB for me is, in this time, a little bit more my place.
Which is really good, but we still, FMBB still has to follow FCI regulations and rules and everything. And I guess my question now is the hot topic of the year. As a competitor, as a long-time competitor, as a 3 or 4 time, how many times you have won? 3 or 4 world championships?
4.
Four-time world
Yeah,
championship.
normally 5, but this was only a World Cup. But you know, when the first time was I win the first competition, but then not the final.
Cayman. I love that. I love that. That was Cottbus. That was well, I get goosebumps just thinking of it. Oh.
When I say hours and I hear nothing, I need to put my glasses off and say, what is going on? But it happened. Come on.
Of course. That's, it's a roller coaster. But so, just for everybody that listens, 4 times world championship with 3 different dogs.
2.
Did Arco didn't? Well, Arco won.
No. But Arco only win 3 times the Championat.
Okay. Because you had a very good run with him. I somehow thought that you also won. Well, not world championship, but European. But I guess no. And
yes, look, in the European Championship, I was placed number 3, and Schaller was winning because he makes super points on the field. That was funny to have a 98 in obedience with this kind of dog, and 97 protection was okay, 97 in protection, but he missed 1 article. So I have 92 in tracking. So this was. Yeah. This time I can win, but it was the good thing was we start with the European Championship. We start with the Malinois with the European Championship.
Yeah.
And this was, I think this was a little bit the beginning. And also Volker pushed this a little bit. And this time we have good connections also in our breeding test. We have a ring helper from France. He also was Montini. He also was in the final in the border of Belgium and France. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly.
Which one out of all of your dogs? This is a stupid question, kind of, because I get asked this too, and I never have a good answer. But would you have a favorite dog of the ones you competed? I know they're all different. I know everything, but
yes. Look. I think Arco was a little bit. I get him, and he was educated. This Arco, he was educated, and then I get Desert, and Desert was a dog who, it was a little bit old school training, and he can take a lot of pressure. This dog was, in this case, he was really rough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Cayman was, Cayman was Cayman. Huh? It was, it was a little bit funny how to get this dog. When I think he was 6 or 7 weeks old, and then Markus Neutz was calling me and say, maybe here's a dog for you. I say, come on, I think there are only two and a female, and I think they are sold. Yeah, maybe we can talk. And then I talked with him. It was Costas, and he has the name of Kim Hechler's breeding this time. It was his first breeding, and and then he said, yes, of course you can get a dog, and you have a first pick. So I go down with my wife, and when I come in, I see the dog. It was like 1 second. I say, this is my dog. It was no test, nothing. It was like, and feeling was good.
Yeah.
I think this was my favorite dog, yes, of course. And in this time it was nice because we have a good community of training, a good people around who helps. This was nice time. It was Björn, it was Markus, it was Seppi, was this group.
Yeah, that was
Ralf Konzelmann, one of the best helpers we had.
That was really special nice time. That's kind of where I really got to know you and Markus and Seppi and everybody, like on a different level besides the competition,
Yeah, this was nice time.
But that's how it goes. We stay so long in the game that it's normal sometimes things to keep changing, and hopefully they keep changing for better. And like, I mean, you and me, we've been for so many years, we've been everywhere, talking to whatever, but time goes by and we get the appreciation of what we do, like that's important.
I think now it's time to stop the mistakes. We learn enough, and now it need to be a little bit to have fun and to be open and honest. I think this is more important. And if something we don't like, we can say it to each other. I think it's easy, and then it's done. It's not a personal thing, but then it's done.
Is that a sign that we're getting older?
Yeah. I say also now when we became a little bit more wise, this game is over.
Right. Now, tell me, and again, like from being a world championship numerous times, from being a helper at world championships and bunch of different competitions, from being a judge at world championships and all over the world, including here, like you. No, how was it? I can't remember now. You were the helper on our first AWMA championship that we did, and Seppi was the judge. Exactly. Yes, that was history to be made. What is your take on the stick hit when we took it out? What do you think? Is it possible to evaluate a dog now? Like, what do you think a helper can do? Like, what kind of instruction you would give to the helpers for next year, or where is this? Like, I want to hear you talk about this because it's always it's a very hot topic.
I know the stick hit when we have this bamboo. Mm-hmm. This was not very nice. This was not very nice.
Yes, it used to leave like blisters on the dog.
Yes, of course. This was not very nice. Then when we have the other stick, I think it was a little bit more the stick only works when you have the possibility also for the mental pressure.
The impression.
Otherwise it's only boom, boom. And when you look now, it came the time when the helper work became more a sporty way. It was important every time to start on point A to run to point B. And it need to be for everything need to be the same. And if the dog and also the form where the helper have the angle where the helper has the sleeve, it was not able. When the angle was a little bit more like the sleeve more down, then the dog have not more the power to stop the helper or something like that. And so it can happen that you can put a dog from A to B, but on the other side, we don't have the real mental pressure to the dog in this case. This is a part of more, sometimes putting the dog on the feet, sometimes to go a little bit over and have this kind of communication.
A little more freedom for the helper to read and decide a little bit, a little more freedom, right?
Yeah, but look, now it's a little bit like this. The competitors stay on the outside, say, look, he go 20 centimeters more than with my dog. Oh. And normally it's like this. If the dog want to escape to the left side, you go to the left side. If the dog want to escape to the right side, you go to the right side.
Yes.
But in this form, what we have now, what it became created, it's not anymore possible. No? And when things go in some form, it's difficult to put it out of this form. Yeah? And sometimes you see also that the helpers are looking where they need to run. It's funny. They don't in communication, they're not in conversation with the dogs, they're in conversation with their points.
Right.
It's like it is. Yeah? I also think you only can make a really good helper job when you are able to train dogs to a level. I think then you have a little bit acknowledgement what to do. On the other side, you only need to have a sporty body to do it.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah. And yeah, look, how you want to get this instinct, what you need in this moment when you go really in a fight with a dog. This is maybe you have it. It can be that you have it inside a little bit. Maybe you can teach it a little bit, but you need to have something where you can go in the opposite of something.
Right.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
When you are able to, when you have the power to go against something. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the other side,
very good example.
It's not good for politics.
True.
It's not good for politics.
the example you gave with, like, I don't know, I had Harry Archon on a podcast few podcasts ago, and we were talking a little bit, and I had this idea that even the helper even should have the freedom not to go so fast from point A to point B, because it's over, and you just kind of, the dog can just grab and hold on, and but if you slow it down with some dogs, you can really expose and show something more. Or if the dog, how some dogs are pulling you, trying to stop you, but maybe they're not trying to stop you. You should, as a helper, be able to have the freedom to say, you know what, I'm coming at you. You cannot avoid me, right? And these are the kind of freedoms that you're mentioning right now. Probably goes back the same difficulty with the Kyorong, how, you had to become more and more uniform to where you don't have so much freedom. Yeah. And then the evaluation goes down.
Maybe let us jump one point back to Kyorong. What we see on a Kyorong. On a Kyorong, we see only a few elements in a short time. When we have sport, when we have in our sport not for the starters, not for the club competitions, but for the high-end competitions, when we have in the high-end competitions, when we have real tracking fields, when we look to obedience, what is a little bit more like, I don't say natural, but a little bit more like, okay, there is a communication, there is the main parts of the exercise the dog understand. Maybe one example in a port. What you see in a port, okay, speed. But what we want to see is that the dog present and want to give something away. This is the main point. So speed is something, it's nice, it's good for the public, but this is not the idea of the apport. And in protection, it's a little bit the same. So when we now follow a dog for a long time, we see him in A, B, C, and then we see his quality for that what we expect, like a dog who can go to competition, sport dog or whatever.
Right.
I talk also with the people who are using dogs for police or for something else, for really use dogs for finding explosive drugs, etc., etc., etc. And they say we have a little bit of problem also with the dogs that they are really able to smell. And we see it in some breeds that the dogs have problems in this way. And so I think we need to think about all this, what we are doing and what the people are doing. They go to a dog who is world champion. In this case, it's also all right when they do it. It's also all right when they do it, when this dog became a world champion. On the other side, it's more important what are doing the puppies from this dog. And this is a little bit what we don't have. But for this, we can talk until tomorrow.
Right. How is different, like the FMBB has its own preparation and vision for the judges, right? To some extent. I mean, you still follow FCI rules, but you do have your FMBB judges meetings and stuff like that, correct or no?
Yes, we have a commission with 5 members, six or 7 members now. I don't know exactly. And in this commission, we talk about the judges, and we want to have a list from judges we can use. And the idea is a little bit like not only the dog handlers need to select himself to go to the competition, also the judge need to do the same. And when we see sometimes that the judge is going in a I say it now polite, in a political way, then we don't want to use him anymore.
Yeah, because like if you put some percentage, how many judges, including FCI and WSV and everywhere, like how many percentage of the judges you think actually are very good for the sport, that because of them the sport can maintain or improve? Do you think, how many do you think?
I think we have a few good judges, and from this few good judges we have also some percent who are not political,
which is very hard nowadays.
Yeah. It's I think it's very hard. And the problem is, in this case, when you know the system, when you know that this is normal, when you then go to a championship and you really judge, look to the dogs and say, okay, this I like, or this is more or less what we expect from a dog, then sometimes you get a little bit problems with the audience, because, you know, with humans it's every time the same. They adapt it sometimes, and then they think it's normal.
Yeah.
They think it's normal. And then if you are, and on the other side, so, and a judge make a mistake. Every judge make mistakes. This is normal. When you have 100 dogs, when you have only 5%, then you're really good, really good.
This is why I am a judge, and I just don't do it because I don't think my brain works this way. Like I don't think I can stay focused for so many dogs at the same time. I think my brain's gonna go off into some text message or something, you know, like it takes a special ability to just to stay focused all the time. It's not easy.
I have a question. When you train a dog, you are nervous, or you do it by your feeling?
Yeah, good question. I just talked about this. That's so funny. So I tell you, I think I do it totally, like probably 99% by feeling.
Okay.
And I almost don't
you
even...
You are stressed in this way? You became stressed in this way?
No.
So the same way you need to do it as a judge. You go on the field, and you don't need to have, oh, today, this is what I want to see. No, you go, and there are different dogs, different pictures, different education, and this is possible that it is like that. And then you go and say, okay, and when you became, this was also my mistake in the beginning, you go too much in details.
Too tense, and you don't want to miss anything, and yes.
Forget it. What can happen? Nothing. So, but it takes time. It's like dog training. You need to do it, and then it became a little bit better. It's like it. Now I'm really relaxed in this way.
So yeah, man, that's crazy. What about the same question for you with the training? How do you stay more in the moment, right, or what?
In this moment, I have a nice dog, really nice dog, but I don't train so much. One case, okay, the helper is a little bit, yes, it has a accident, but this is only one side of the story. On the other side, it's not so much motivation now there. And on the other side, you know, now my son is 14 years old now, and my daughter also, she is working in my company. She make her exam now, and now I hope she begin to study. Her boyfriend, maybe her man in the future, also is working. And so normally I want to say I stop with the company, but so I need to work a little bit more. Anyway, I do it. We changed also a little bit the house. Now I'm here in an old train station from '98, but it's really nice. It's like a little villa, and little on the landscape, a little bit 30 kilometers far away from the company. And Claire's riding, and she's not so bad in this way. And Jason begins now with wakeboard. It's close by here's close 6-7 minutes from here. So I spent a little bit time with that. On the other side, I go every morning and every evening I go bicycling. I go with a young dog.
How old?
The young dog is now 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah, I have it from Spain. The Casa de Simon, and I was looking when I was judging in Spain, and I saw the father and the mother, and we became talking like this. And then they say, I make a breed. I say, oh, maybe I want to have a dog. And then Corona begins. Immediately when Corona begins, I go and take the dog. And after me, the borders were closed.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Oof.
Yeah. Anyway, and you know, I also have the dogs until they die. So I have a 30-year-old female. It's a Cayman daughter, but I only do with her for the house. I have Myron, where I was in France, but in 2016 he has problem with his knee and his meniscus is out. And I have Nicky, and Nicky has only, the problem was with the teeth. When he was young, loose canine.
He's not that old. He's what, like 8
years old? Yeah. 8 years old, yeah. But, it was in the end, it was the good thing on the dog, he has a really high temperament and want to run. But, yeah. Yes. And so I go in the morning with the old dogs not so far. I go with them 3 together on the bicycle, and with the other I go in the morning 6 kilometers and in the evening 6 kilometers. Wow. This is what I need for myself.
That's pretty cool. Oh yeah, that's very cool.
And the good thing is the dogs are really in the family. Yeah? They are living also with us in the house, and I think this is different. And now I learn also dogs to look a little bit from the other side. So what they need to do in the house when you say, okay, you need to go here, wait there. And so it's also nice. I hope I get a little bit more motivation back. But because I want to do a little bit with the dog. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, no, sometimes it's okay to take a rest. Yeah. I mean, how many years going full speed?
Yeah. This is not the problem. The problem is that you, in the end, you see that you're a little bit depressed about the people. I say it in this way. Not about the dogs, a little bit about the people.
We are strange, and this is not just the dog community. I think people are just how we are.
Yeah.
Not just.
But look, maybe a little bit from the personal side. Now I'm living here on the landscape, and this is it's the people who are living here around. They are traditional, farmers, and all farmers are here hunters. And I'm completely here in this neighborhood. I need 1.5 years, and then they take me into the neighborhood. This is completely different thing. Yeah. Oh, it's like Arnold, huh?
Yeah. It became a.
But he was in California, not in Florida.
I know. Man, you gotta come back again sometime. Like the place, I mean, it's still the same place, but we've done so many things like since, gosh, it's been 20 something years.
Yeah.
Tell me, you know what I was wanting to ask you, and I kind of wanna, it's almost for me, not only for me, but for everybody, so we know how to train and prepare a little bit, because when right before COVID came in Czech Republic, FMBB, you know, like when all of a sudden the judging became super, super hard and nobody was expecting
this was not good. This was not good, Ivan. We have a lot of problems to stop it. So the problem is when the stone is different to stop, difficult to stop. Yeah, and this was the problem what we have. Yeah, then you can breathe what you want. In the end, it's every time the same. Yeah, especially in Czech Republic, it was too rough in obedience, and it was too rough in protection, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. This you can do, maybe that you can do in the final, because then it's a little bit different. But on the other side, we have 100 points. We have this 100 points. And if you give 96, then you have also 4 points to the top.
For sure.
There is something really good, you know. This is, but also for this you need to learn this. For this, and this is difficult to learn it. And back to one point, when we talk about judges and we talk about this feeling, then you need to be relaxed to do it. And if you are every time on the field and say, "Oh, I'm a little bit scared to miss a little thing," then it begins. Then the problems are beginning. Yeah. Do
you find anything? Go ahead.
Look, and if you give 100 points, or if you get 100 points in one discipline, then normally 100 points is not able to get, but 100 points. I think you can give 100 points when the emotion is there, when you feel it, that something happened. And then you need to do it also. I think it was the same idea from Van den Bosch in Cottbus, that he say, "I give you 100 points." Of course you can find a little point. Of course you can find a little point. But you see it also in the reaction of the people who are sitting. Everybody in this moment say, "Okay, nobody." And I also give 100 points in protection. Maybe it was 98 or 99, but anyway, it was a winner.
Right. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. And do you think it had something to do? Like, how do you feel about the 4 judges at FMBB? I'll tell you why I'm asking this is because sometimes when I watch or when I compete, it almost sometimes, not always, but you get the impression that the judges are almost competing with each other, who is more harder or something like that, you know?
Look, the idea of this system was coming from dog handlers who say we want to have 2 different judges, that not one judge is more or less don't like me and they get less points.
Yeah.
That was the idea.
Yeah.
I think it's better. It became better when the judges are a little bit more relaxed, and in the end they stay together and say, how you look to that, how you look to this point, and then they find a solution for the points. I think this is a little bit better than to say, okay, one is staying here and one is staying there. You make a lot of pressure to the two guys, and when you make a lot of pressure, it's the same with the dogs. Sometimes they get stressed, and then the things happen. So the idea normally of a two-judge system is to talk to each other and say, hey, come on. This was super. This was maybe not so good, but it was not so bad. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not satisfactory. Yeah. It's good. It's something like in this way, and then it became a little bit better. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a really good experience in I think 2 weeks before we have our German championship, and then Dennis Bauer was responsible to laser tracks. He was the judge who make the laser tracks. Michael Kötters was the judge, and I was the technical coordinator. Blah blah blah. Yeah, to take the book, the draws, and everything. But Michael make it really good. He say, okay, we have different pictures of dogs. We have dogs who are a little bit under pressing, but anyway, but they need to show an exact track. We have dogs with a high motivation, so they have a little bit more space, and we have different speed of dogs, and he accepts this and make a really good comments so that every dog handler in the end say, and it was a really good atmosphere in the tracking area. Yeah. Then when the problem was with a big rain, okay, then the people go a little bit crazy. I say, no, we need to do the 4 tracks, and then we see what happened. If not, if everybody failed, then they get new tracks. And in this way we do it, and it works.
Very cool.
But it only works when you have a relaxed team. And this is more or less a problem.
Yeah, you've been talking about this.
I know a lot of judges who are really relaxed, but sometimes they are a little bit too much political.
Right. Yes, it's a very, very hard thing with the politician side.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as a judge, let's break it down in tracking. What do you, not the rules, not FCI, not FMB, but you as a judge, what does 100 points look like for you in tracking? What is the dog? Like, what is the, you know how we always talk emotional state, tail, mouth a little open, ears.
Forget the shit. Like, forget the shit. Forget the shit. Forget this. Forget it. I do this big mistake in Geislingen when I was judging obedience and explain it a little bit about the motivation and all things. But then you have a lot of people who have not this experience in sport, and they don't find the balance. And then they begin to make interpretation, and then, yeah, it's done. In this moment, it's done. Oof. Yeah. I stay with one guy when we are after tracking. I stay on the side of the field, on the sideline. I was a dog. I say, oh, this is not. I like this dog. It's not a bad dog. Yeah, but he say, look, he's standing at the helper and he's doing a little bit. It need to be a little bit more clear here, a little bit more there. I say, yes, of course. But in this way, if you want to do it, you need to make it clear for him. And when you make it clear for him, you are out of our rules. If you do it and somebody see you, when you fix this, maybe it's only one time for the dog, but then you're out. Yeah, say what you want. It's every time the same. And this is a big problem. The judge need to find the balance. And you need to accept different pictures. But this you only can do when you have trained different kind of dogs.
Right. Right. And there is a little difference.
You are able to listen. And if you want to learn something. But this is also...
Yeah, because it's becoming very mechanical of looking at certain things and I know people...
when we look to obedience, I'm a little bit happy that we have this 50 points for free healing. So The 50 points for free healing, there you can put everything in. Everything in, every development to the exercise and so on. So, but when you begin with a 5.6 exercise and you talk about basic position development, how many points do then have for
what is left?
The main part? For
What
the
is
main
left?
part, for the sit. And then you have it when you have, then sometimes you have a fast sit, and maybe the dog need to be a little bit relaxed and show a little bit to the side. Oh, the focus is not there. If the dog is completely into the focus, and then because he sit a little bit too slow because he is on tense, and it's also not good. So what you want in the end.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you only understand it when you train a dog. Otherwise, it's not possible.
And when you train a dog to man, I don't think even one dog is enough to.
I say you need to train different kind of dogs.
Different kind of, that's the thing. Different kind of dogs, because when you train one dog and if we are super successful with this one dog, that's one type of dog, and it doesn't mean, it's not even about the breed, right? It's just the temperament of that dog, and it's a false. It kind of misleads you to think that you now know how to read dogs and that every dog can act the same way, and it's not easy to be a judge. It's really not easy, and so important.
If you have a dog, everybody talk about dominant dog. What is a dominant dog? A dominant dog is a little bit more relaxed. Yeah. When I think about Cayman was not aggressive. He was really relaxed when he go into the protection. You say, okay, no problem for me. It was a little bit like this. Yeah.
The king's walking in.
And when you talk with the helpers, they say, okay, every time when you make the pressure face and you think, now it's super, it's really easy, then he begin to put you out of your way. Anyway, but back to the judges. If you, and this you see also, almost, if you have a dog who is super maybe special in something, then the judge say this is normal and begin to judge in this way. When the dog have an issue in something, then he also look from a different point from his own dog to the other dog. He say, maybe the sit, I never get a fast down, so the fast down is not so important. But I get a fast sit, so fast sit is for me important. And here you need to find the balance.
Right.
Yeah. And important is how you explain it to the dog handlers, how you make a report.
Yeah, that's really, because if you can give a good critique, and I don't like, you know how sometimes judges would turn it into a little mini seminar as they're giving the critique, starting to give advice how you need to whatever. And it's like, you don't even know what the person is doing, but you're now, it's not about you. You're just the judge to give. You have to give a hint what is missing so they can go back and change it. This is very important for a judge. But when they start to give you this like I know how to figure, it's like, it's a strange one.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, it happens. It happens, and then
it happens a lot of time.
Yes, to where all of a sudden the little club trial becomes about the judge and not about the competitors. What about what will be your advice? And you're one of the people that can give good advice for the helpers of 2023. Now that the stick hits are not possible and the program is so rigid, like you make 5 steps, stick, pretend, whatever. what would be your advice for a helper, a trial competition helper, to, like, if you're judging a big competition, what would you tell a helper, or how would you want to see the helper do so the dog still can be evaluated? And is it even possible?
Okay, so one thing is what I want. We start from the beginning in the blind, in the bug, for the bug and hold. I want in the bug and hold that the helper, that one important thing is that the sleeve is in front of the helper, not on the side of the helper, so that
we can stop the podcast right here. Cheers to that.
We can, so that we can see, is the dog possible to make bug and hold with the sleeve in front of him? Yeah, and it's not that he can a little bit avoid and go from one or to the other side. So we had this discussion, and on this FCI judge meeting, if the dog is sitting, I say if the dog is sitting on the left or the right side, it doesn't care. He don't sit in the middle.
Right.
Point. It doesn't interest me how you want to train it, but I want to see that the dog is communicate with the helper. So, and then the helper also need to have to look to the dog, and he need to have a little bit like, how I can say it, a little bit that the dog don't know exactly what he expect in this moment from him. He need to be a little bit more cold in this moment. Yeah. In the short escape, I don't want to see this sprint and this fast running. This is, I think, not the important thing. And for me, when the dog really prevents the escape, then the helper can stop after 5 meters normally, but it's not in the rules, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And the same is in the attack. I want to see that the sleeve is in a horizontal way, and he really move against the dog, not looking for one side. Huh? And when the dog stopped him, he stopped him. It's not, then it's a good dog. You know what I mean? Yeah. And on the and then we have this parts of attack after back transport, and also on the long bite. For this, you need special helpers who really can move straight, and that they are able to catch the dog really when they come in front, and not go before out of the line and something like that. Yeah, they need to be. I talk with Ralf Konzelmann, he's coming back, and his son is really. I think he became also a talent. And Ralf was in the beginning a little bit boxing. He say, okay, you need this jumping with what is it? The line.
Oh yeah,
boxing.
Yeah,
this is good for your legs. And you need to have boxing with the sunsack, so that you get here the moving in your hips. Yeah, this was really interesting. And it was also one of the really nice things what happened now in Germany. Here Olli Radke, Jörg Schwabe, and Ralf Konzelmann, and they create and Stefan Hildebrand, they do in their part of Germany, they make a helper camp for young helpers, open for every helpers. And there were more than 120 people, something like that there. And they really motivate the young helpers, and to say, we don't see bad helpers. And they give a little bit their experience. This is good, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, this is good. And
on
the other side, this mental pressure, this you need also to explain them a little bit. And this is not coming by speed.
Right. Speed actually takes away from it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is do you, even like when we're talking about the back transport, attack of the back transport and the courage test, how much is natural ability, natural talent, and how much is skill that you learn? What is your
here in the brain that need to connect, and you need to and you really need to like this to go against the dog, and And I think you need to have a little bit talent for this.
Right. I think you have to need a lot of talent, I think, because there is no time to think what you're gonna do. And if you do it too quick, like if you start to move too quick, it's not good. So you have, like in my opinion, a helper has to have the confidence to be patient.
Yes, this is right, patient.
Right? And then the talent to move and be fluid. And it's a very difficult combination.
Yeah, it is. But we have some helpers who can do it.
Oh, 100%.
We have it, huh? Maybe one point also what we stated before and we want to have real attacks, this moment to see how the dog reacts. And there was one idea, it came also from Michael Curtis. He say, maybe we need in our program on one point in protection, it can be after back transport, it can be after rear attack, that we have a second, that we have one additional attack. But it comes in some place, but the judge can decide
on the discretion of the judge.
Yes. I think it's not to say we want to have it more difficult for the dogs. It's maybe a little bit make it a little bit more honest in the protection, in the training.
Honest training in the training, very true. Yeah, very true. But that's gonna mess all the point structure, but it would be so good to have.
Yeah,
oh, that would be so good to have.
In this moment, we have influence on this is what every time the judges say, we want to have influence of the education, blah, 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 blah. But for the quality of a dog, and maybe then it became a little bit more natural. Then you can say, okay, now my dog only need to prepare to make out and jump. And on the other side, you only need to stay there and look. So then what you do in this moment? In this moment, you need to train in a different way.
Correct.
You need to be
more honest is the right word. Because really, like so many dogs and training goes now you can get a bite and now you don't get a bite. And the dog should always expect that there can be a bite. And Michael, I mean, that's a brilliant idea. I just don't see how it can be implemented because you're going to have to figure a way how to play with the points.
You only need to divide the points.
Yeah.
This is not a huge problem, but this is an idea, and it's people are a little bit also. I think our program is not so bad. What we have, I think the program is not so bad, but when we have new people and a new commission, and then they want to think, okay, what we need to change, but the problem, in my opinion, is not to change, how to make it better, how to make it more clear. I think this is more important instead of changing something what nobody understands.
How do the changes happen? Do you know? Like how, for example, how did the sit out of motion became 5 points? It's a big mystery for me. I asked Harry Archon, but he didn't really answer me the question, and I don't know if he knew the answer or what, but like sit out of motion is a very, very, very...
It's a mistake.
Cool exercise, important exercise.
It's a mistake to put 5 points on this exercise. It's a mistake. That's the end of the story. And look, I was also in this in this elitary group. But in the end, it's every time the same. You have every country have one vote.
Right.
It doesn't matter how much experience they have. It doesn't matter how many people are doing dog sports. This is not the important point. Important is that every country has one vote. And you have different tradition in the countries of the sport.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, and who are the people who present the sport for the countries? These are more or less people who are doing in a political way. And in a political way, every time is that that they build groups. This is normal, that they build groups that they can put their interest in front. This is, they have their lobbies.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like this. So, look, when I was going to Romania. This is a country have no experience in this way, and a lot of people don't go. This thing is not the right way in the sport, but anyway, that is their decision. A lot of people don't go there, and it was also a little bit difficult to do it.
You're talking about the FMBB last year. I mean, this year.
This year, yes, yeah. It was a little bit difficult for me. The environment on the field that you have here's a field with this stroll around with this, and you have after send out 5 meters, you have the agility, and 10 meters on the side from the blind, you have they have the monitoring, and on the other side you have an airplane who starts this little motor airplanes. Amazing was how social the dogs always was, and that it have no influence on the performance of the dogs. It doesn't matter. So okay, some dogs were jumping in the sand out, but they was not jumping because there was agility.
Correct.
And it was only a small percent, maybe 2 dogs. I don't know exactly, but the people who are in the tracking field who do the tracks. The judges and also the helpers and also the technical director on the field, everything was in time, everything was perfect. The problem was a little bit the secretary, because there was too much for 2 people who do the whole thing. Do the whole thing. It was a little bit sad for the celebration that there was not the right form for celebration, with a good protest, with a little bit with really present and all the things. This is beside, but and I think it's also important that you have in this way have it good. But for me, the most important thing in this case as a supervisor was that the sport works in our IGP, that the judges are working, that the helpers are working, and that we have in this way that we have a good team. And I think this was, for me, one of the good experience. I was 12 days there. First, I was judging. They asked me and say, "Oh, you can judge a little competition that we see what happened?" Yeah, the little competition was the World Championship of the herders. anyway, but in the end, I need to say. Also, when they don't make it perfect, I became a good contact with the people, with these people from there, and I feel from how they're hosting me, it was for me what was nice. No, it was not high standard, but it's not important.
Sure.
And also in the evening, we come together with the judges and the helpers, and we have good atmosphere. We don't talk about the dogs or blah, 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 blah. We have only fun together. This was really nice. So it was a good group. And I also can do it like some other people it was doing from our commission. Stand on the side, look for critics, and only make it. I try to make really to fix the things for the competitors. It begins with put the draws and everything.
Right.
It was a lot of work, but I say, okay, do it for the sport and do the best what they can do. Yeah, this was a little bit from the organization. Okay.
What do you think about go finish your thought.
Look, for this you need more people, and I think it's also that I say also in our FMBB talking, also in the commission, and I said also in the board. When we have this, we need to, when we put it to countries like that, we need to support it. We need to have a team go down and help them and support it. We can say you need to do that and that and that and that, and if you don't do it, we blame you. I think this is not possible.
Right.
Yeah. On the other side, we need to catch these countries for our sport. It's important. As more people we are, as better it is.
100% true. 100% true. What about like FMBB is becoming very difficult with like when we first had the big unification, like having the obedience, agility, Mondio and everything, they were not so big. Now FMBB World Championship, I mean in Mondio Ring now you have almost as many competitors and it takes double more time, and it becomes very difficult for a country to find the space to and the manpower to have this big event.
Yes.
So I mean, do you guys ever talk about this, like possibly going back to only IGP or like I really think it's becoming very difficult to find people to convince countries to do it now.
Yes, you're right. The idea to make it like we have 1,000 dogs in one spot. This idea came from Johan, and the idea was, okay, now you have so much dogs on one spot. Not only on a show or different dogs, utility dogs here together.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit showing to the public, okay, we are important. This was the idea.
It's a celebration.
Instead of making small things. Yeah. On the other side, life became more difficult, more expensive. So it will become easier if you say, okay, we spend 1.5 weeks or we spend 2 weeks, for this and make it step by step. But this is almost not possible. And the people, when they are working, they don't have so much holidays,
right?
And maybe they don't want to spend it in this time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a interesting.
Yeah, this is the future will show what we can do.
So next one is Italy.
Yeah, Italy is crazy now. They want to have these rescue dogs, and they want to have rescue dogs, and they want to have also the shepherd dogs. Yeah.
Oh wow! And wow!
Yeah. Because okay, they have the space, but I think it became too much. Yeah?
I know.
And then you had canicross, bike working, blah blah blah. It's a lot of things: agility, obedience, monitoring, and it became too big. Yeah.
And I think like at least as a spectator or competitor, when I go, I mean, of course I go and I watch a little bit of agility. I go and watch a little of obedience. I do watch Mondio Ring because it's. I mean, I have interest in it and I train it, and
I do the same. Yeah, I was looking sometimes here, sometimes there.
Right.
If you have the time, yes.
But ultimately, when you're in one game, that's where you spend your time, being a competitor or being a spectator. Like the 90% of your time is in the sport you're interested in,
yes.
And so even though, what I'm trying to say, even though we are all together, which is, again, a big celebration, and it's big, like there is something special about it, for sure. But even so, we are still kind of inside divided into our interest groups.
Yes, and maybe that's one of our mistakes. If the agility people and obedience people, monitoring people support us and we support them, then we have more power. But it's like, you know how it is.
That's such a good point you're making right now.
You don't need to go too much inside, but it's a little bit so. But it's a time that it's less and less respect. This is more or less a problem.
This is such a good point you just made. And I really haven't looked at it from that angle. Because ultimately the idea is for us to defend dog sports and to appreciate all the different angles. And that's not the case. We're missing that point. All of us.
Yeah.
We kind of look down on each other.
Me too. I say we need to get all to get the ideas.
I wonder how can we change that? And is it even possible?
Evan, look, you're always a crazy maniac in this sport. Yeah. And you also have your visions, and you also was going your way and fighting also for the things, same like me. Yeah. But what I see after more than, I don't know, 45 years, nearly 50 years dog sport now, I'm not really proud of something what I was doing. I'm not really happy that my motivation is going so much down. Yeah. And what we can make better is to get the people a different point of view, and that when they do this sport in their life and they say this is our main thing in life, let's say when they stop it, that they say, oh, this was a good time, now we are happy. I also can say that it was a good time, but the last years were not so good. You know what I mean? The last years were not so good. And on the other side, it's like it is. You get what you deserve.
Yeah.
It's not only that, say, it's a mistake of the people. It's also, I also have put the mistake in the motivation that I lose or not have anymore so much. Yeah. And it's not only that we do it for a long time. If you have passion, you have passion. Yeah. But you need to have a response. This is also important. Yeah. Yeah. And one thing that I think is really important to learn when you have, look, both of us have a lot of success, but we also need to go with dogs maybe where we don't have this high success what we had in the past. And this is also a point that we need to take, that we need to eat.
Yeah, very, very real.
Mm-hmm.
Very real point.
But we are not depressed now. We're looking forward.
So if you were like, let's say you had the power to change things in the bigger community of the dog sport, like all dog sports, how do you think we can come together? Is it even possible somehow that we could come together?
The only way to change it is not the task of one man.
Right.
It's the task of the community. And if we want to come together, we come together. That's the end of the story. Yeah. But when you come together, you need to accept different kinds of characters, and you need to make your compromise.
Yeah, for sure. There's got to be compromise.
So, and there you have your own borders, your own limits. It's It's like it is. Mm-hmm.
But we are not even trying.
No, we're not trying. I know. Maybe when we're getting old and coming with what is this?
Yeah, the walkers.
Let me sit there and say, oh, stupid we were.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I can laugh about it. I never will completely separate from the sport, but it's a little bit when I say I do something and I have a task in something, if it's judging or supervising or doing a dog, then I try to do it in a good way and also with a lot of power, but only if I feel I can do it, I will do it. Otherwise, I don't do it. Yeah? Look, we have every year, we have this discussion only beside now. Every year we have the discussion with the judges. Every year. The organizer came and give a list of judges. And we have this rule. We say the commission is responsible for the judges. So, and that this is not clear. It every time became a negative touch, you know. You go to the organizer, say, no, we put your proposal away because it's not your task.
Right.
And then they say, it's every time the same. But if we want to make it in a sport way, we have a committee for who select the judges and they every time from different countries. And we have a committee for monitoring, for LGP, for everything we have it. And this is important. And this organizer need to accept because he want to have a good championship. We try to take good judges. We try to take good helpers. Huh?
And then the pressure
not
is
the
on you.
Who are working for, look, not the judges or helpers who are working for our dogs, no, who are working for the competition. This is the idea. And when it became from an organizer, there's every time, something behind.
Yes, it's very interesting. This is such a difficult topic. I can see it both ways. I think like the FNBB taking the responsibility for who the judges are, then you cannot blame the local country and the local clubs if it went well or it didn't went well. And like you and I have been doing this, and you've been doing it at least, I don't know how many years before me, but we've been doing it for many years at the world level. We know in the past how one country used to, okay, well, now it's our turn to get all the benefits and we select our judges and haha on you. And so having FNBB deciding and not the host country, there is a big benefit of that because you eliminate, or at least you try to eliminate that thing of, well, it's our country hosting it, so we're gonna make it good for our country. And it used to be like this for quite some years, right? Yeah. And it wasn't fair. And I think the idea that you're describing is very good, and it really, it makes people that are not going from the home country more comfortable entering the trial as being non-biased, right?
Yes, yes. You need to be, the idea is every time the same. The best need to win.
What do you think about the tracking? Tracking is becoming quite difficult to find, even for training. I mean, you're in Germany, you're in a, you know.
Look, don't worry. Look, I have here my neighbors are farmers and hunters, and I have 100 hectares where I can go. But the big problem is I don't have the motivation to go. But why it is like this? They see when I go with my dogs that they listen, that they don't run after some rabbits or some other things, yeah? And this is also a little bit to have the, no? and they don't, I don't let them run through the fields. And this is also a little bit what we have. Huh? Anyway, what I saw is, I saw on FNBB, Ferenc Schuster showed me a little bit a video I don't watch the whole 20 minutes, but I show a little bit, and he has this finding some articles on a square from 20 meters.
Yep.
Ferenc is in one case a little bit special. Yeah? I like him, but he's a little bit special in one case. But what he is spending time in the tracking and in the ideas, I really like. So he showed it a little bit, and the doc was looking for some really, really small articles. And the dog handler was standing on the outside. It was only 20 meters.
Yep.
And it was amazing how the dog was, how intense
searching.
The dog was.
Yeah.
By itself, not on the leash or nothing. It's for me, for doing so long dog sport and only go for the tracking, a little bit difficult to understand, but it was amazing. It was amazing to see it. And I think maybe it's an idea, but...
You know, we have now in the States what they call it American Schutzhund. And it's basically, it's a very interesting, it's been for 2 years and it's picking up some speed. But have you heard of it or no?
No.
So it's a very interesting combination of some new things and returning back to the roots of the program. So, for example, in Schutzhund 1, which is even crazy to say Schutzhund 1 today, it just doesn't sound right anymore, right? But in Schutzhund 1, you have now, again, attack out of the blind, how it used to be. In the long bite, you have the helper running away, turning back, and going at the dog. So a lot of the old elements, but the tracking is what you're describing, what Schuster also was saying. It's an area search for the lower level, and then it's a real detection work for level 3, like a real detection work. It's a very, I will send you some thing. I mean, you will be able to look it up too, but, and it's basically kind of, I think, an answer to all the difficult problems the dog community is facing today. And, but yeah, it's an interesting thing, and who knows if it's gonna take off or no, but because it's not FCI, it's just an American thing. Another
don't mean that it's bad.
Right. Another thing, like we still are super fortunate that we can walk our dogs with prong collars. We can go all the way to the field with the electric collar and take it off. And if you're good on the field, you're good on the field. Then there is no,
You can be happy.
I know. We're like, it's very, very, like, like even maybe a couple of weeks ago, I posted on Facebook because it just came to me. I'm like, I don't need to worry. I can just train my dog and show you what I'm doing. And there is, it's so normal for us still. It's a difficult conversation to have. And in Europe, it's becoming harder and harder, and more countries are submitting to that idea that,
Make it on one point. Our problem is the people who need to support us, who need to protect us, they do the opposite. They do the opposite. They don't know what they do, but they do it. And in the end, it's what you say. What we want to see is a dog who understands his work on the field.
Right.
That's what we want to see. If the dog is depressed, you don't do it. If the dog is stressed, you don't do it. Huh?
Yeah, and it shouldn't matter what you did in training, because you either did a very shitty job and you need to change it. I don't care what you've been doing, but that's not good.
Yeah. But this is it's here, it's a little bit like, okay, no, maybe it's not so nice, but, we say in Germany, the fish begin to smell bad from the head. Yeah, it's a little bit like this. So if you now have a head in Germany that are people who have no education, who have not where possible to do a job or to finish something, and they lead us in Germany, and they make the rules. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a politician.
And we have we have really good politicals in the past, really good in the good old past. No? And one of them, it was like Helmut Schmidt, and they asked him, hey, was it that you get the power? No. He say, for me, every political need to have education, need to be successful in the job, and when his political area stops, he can go back in his job. This is what I expect from a political, yeah. And now transfer it to our dog sport. You need to have somebody who has education in the dog sport, who was possible to train a dog, who was possible to go to competition. And when he stopped his career as a judge, he also can go back and be also successful with his dogs.
Yeah.
So, but the mainstream looks in another way.
What is very interesting to me is that countries that, let's say, Romania or Brazil, or just some country that doesn't necessarily is affected by the laws of the country, but like the trainers are confused, and they think that it's a fashion to we do what is done now in Switzerland and Austria and Germany, and and not understanding that they're losing an important battle without even fighting it. They're willingly giving it up.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
It's a strange, as you said, like earlier in the podcast, it's a very strange time we are living in every aspect of life.
Yes.
I mean,
we have so good times. Everything was okay. We have comfortable life. We have everything what we need. Okay, we never have enough, of course. We have everything what we need. And then it comes to the point that the people go crazy. And I think we are now past this border. Yeah.
Let's change the subject because it's depressing.
Okay.
Tell me about... yeah, I mean, that's unsolvable. I think, who knows?
But you have a good Havana, so anyway.
Right? So, besides Schutzhund,
yeah,
what are the other ones, the other protection, like KMPV, the Belgian French Ring, and so on? What is another program that you have appreciation for, that you understand, and that you understand the selection and so on?
In the moment when we need to stop the work with the suit, it was a little bit sad for me. So then I go separated a little bit. But I was also looking to France and looking what they are doing.
French Ring.
French Ring, yes. And then I have an experience with the KMPV, but it looks spectacular. But I saw one ring helper in 1995 from France who was doing a little bit training with the dogs, and they say, okay, you can do what they want, and no dog was biting anymore. So yeah. It's so for me was I'm a little bit beside this. Mm-hmm. I like to look it but I'm not so involved in these things. Yeah.
When you did the Kyorangs, there were sometimes dogs that do come from France or Belgium or, you know, I mean, what was your impression of the dogs that decided to do the Kyoron? How stable, how were they doing under the Kyoron programs? I mean, was there a big difference between the German and, let's say, a French dog or a Belgian dog? Like,
yeah, look. There is no huge difference because we are breeding from these lines.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
We are breeding from these lines, no? And we, okay. I think that the dogs who are from Belgium, who are more training in their ring sport in a static way, for that you get dogs with much better grips. Yeah, because you can see it in the static world. If the dog is able to take, to hold. In French, it's a little bit different because, you know, the helpers are a little bit crazy. They train with a little small suit, and then they look that the dog don't get a flu bite.
Yeah,
no, it's normal. Yeah, and this is more so. It's nice and a really high sport for me. Really high sport for me, but the selection of the dogs it's a little bit different than from what we need for our sport. Yeah?
Right.
When we see what happened with the dog from France, it's the effect was more with the dog from Belgium for our sport. They were more have more skills for our sport. Yeah?
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Do you think the sport kind of has a little bit like in Germany right now? I know there is so many different, I don't know, camps or clubs or what do you want to call it, but it's quite divided, right? But all of a sudden, everybody seems to realize that we need to promote and educate the public and get them involved and get them to accept what we do, that it's not a horrible thing.
Look, what happened with the young kids when they're playing together in the sand?
Yeah, drinking from the hose.
No. Everybody want to have the best form to make his little thing of sand. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, and you want to be the chief Indian.
Yeah. Look, what we have, everything what you divide, you have only the half. You have only the half. If you divide it again, you have only a quarter. It's like it is. So, and if something get divided, it's really difficult to put it together.
Right.
Most of it never works. It's like it is. If you cut it, it's cut. So, and this is a problem, and was always a little bit what I say, what I can manage was also that what we have in our club, that I don't was able to hold the things together. Yeah. Normally, I need to sit in the car and go to the people and say, "Come on, we need to sit on the table and we need to solve our problems."
Right.
And it were personal problems. It
right.
was only personal problems. And after it became, you know how the people are. After the things are divided, they almost come and say, "We need to go against." I say, "No, for what? It's done. It's done." Huh?
You know, ironically, AWMA, our Malinois club in the States, we're super small. I mean, you know, we're like between 350 to 450 people. That's the complete membership. And a few years ago, there was a moment where we were going to have a split and have two clubs, which is a parody. Like, what are we doing? Like what, we're going to have like 20 and 20 and 20 and have 5 clubs? And as a competitor, I would love to compete with the best dogs, not with the best dogs in this group, but everybody. And somehow we did manage to keep the club intact. But it's like in our country, we have big problems with the people that lead and the people that train and say "fuss" to the dog and go and do every day what we like to do. And right, you know what I'm saying.
It's like this is typical dog sport.
Like, when was the last time you said "fuss" to a dog? So what are we talking?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
But
you know, the things are always the same. The things are always the same. Look, in the good old times, in the really old times, it was the same. The people from Mexico, that sticks, they believe that there is a river and a dog who brings you to the other side. The same was in Greece. But they never met each other, you know. So, funny story. And the same is with in everything the same. We destroy ourselves. We can build a community. This is our problem. Yeah.
And it's natural for humans to be this way, always to have, you know, the groups and the tribes and all that. But finding a way how to one day of the year come together and have an event all together, nothing compares to that. But somehow we, you know, the ego is like, doesn't let us do this.
Yeah, difficult.
I don't know. Do you think, how many years do you think before IGP becomes like I see, and there is young people that are getting interested in, but
some, but less,
and they don't know what the original idea of that dog sport was. Like, I mean, in 5-10 years, they will be doing IGP, or it's going to be called for sure something else. When I will be looking at it and I'm like, that's not what I used to do. That's totally not the sport. How do we maintain, at least not lose anymore? This is the big question that all of us need to sit down and figure it out.
I think the problem is the problem is not that it's difficult to change humans after childhood.
Mm.
It's how they are growing up, how much they get from their parents, and so on and so on. And this creates a character. Yeah? So for me, it's now it come a little bit late, but now for me it's more important to create this in my son, that he is able to do something good in the future. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter in which way,
right.
If it in dog sport or something else, this is not important, but that you have a foundation and that you have a little bit the basics for that. Yeah. So, like we do it with our dogs when we start with them, huh? We explain them also a little bit, and we also show them their limits and that there are some rules. This is normal, yeah. But this is difficult. It's difficult. Huh? So, but come on, we have a good time.
Oh,
anyway,
man, for sure.
We have a good time, and when we met next time, we also have a good time. So this is for me more important.
That's true. That's true.
This is more important. And when we see good dogs, we are happy. So this is no, and it doesn't matter if I'm going or you are going or somebody else is going with a dog. When we see a good dog, we like it, and we need to accept. Okay, there are different pictures and there are different characters, and that's all.
And that's what makes it interesting, actually. Don't you agree? Yeah. That's really what makes it interesting. It's like, oh, you train this way, I train this way. We come somewhat to the same performance. And what would you tell like young trainers, at least in the States, and I'm sure people all over the world listen to the podcast.
Young trainers, you know, the problem with young trainers is it's every time the same. In the time when I was starting, I was in a club. In the club was like this. We have the man who was responsible for the education, yeah. And what we have 3 times in a week. Sunday we go trekking, and Tuesday and on Friday we make obedience and we make a protection. If you can go to trekking, you can do the other things. Yeah. What you need to learn is basics. What we have now the young people have some super intelligent and also good educated mentors. They explain everything. They prepare the dog, and then the dog have success. The next dog looks completely different when they try to do it by themselves. It's the normal way. When they have not this way of having basics and going up and having progress. No, they start really high and then it's going down, and then maybe, and when it's going down, then it's something really interesting. Then they try to create some ideas and some points of view that this is not so bad what they are doing. Instead of saying, this was shit what I was doing, I need to change it, I need to understand, come on, what are the basics of the things? And on the other side, how many dogs you see, or many dog handlers you see, they take a good dog, and then they, of course, because the dog has a good education, a good childhood, and then they can do something. But from the start to the end, they don't are able to do it.
Right.
Also, it's because they are missing the basics. They're missing the basics, and this is a little bit a huge problem. That we have this basic training, that we have these clubs, yeah, where the people can go, where the young people can go. Now people try to do it with you have a place free on the seminar, but it's too much for them normally. Mm-hmm. Don't have this education they need from the basics, and so they miss a lot. And it's, if you need to work hard for some results, you are happy for these results, and you need to work for them. When you get it too early, then it became a problem. Because
that's a phenomenon for sure. That is a problem.
And then most of the people say, okay, they quit. Yeah. I was 25 years in a normal dog club until I came up. 25 years. I was world champion before I became a judge. Yeah? And my first was, when I start helper work, I say, I want to work one day on the highest competition, on the German championship. I want to go. And I get it in the end. Yeah, I get it in the end. But it was a long time. Every time growing step by step.
Yeah, and YouTube and Instagram, and it's very difficult to navigate because there is good information and equally bad information. And how, when you don't know, how do you find your way?
You know what the worst thing is in this case? When you have a high competition, you see a performance that is maybe not the best performance, and then you have a political judging, and then it became a little bit like, this is normal, this is okay. If the dog is coming after with a dumbbell and run beside you, or sit and the head is a little bit down, don't present it. Oh, look, it's good. They get the points from that. And this is a huge problem. Yeah. And you know how we are as dog people. If we say, this is what we expect, and we go in this way, then you train your dog in this way and you get it.
So interesting how to I cannot imagine me being 20-something and starting again. I probably would get lost. I would get lost. I don't know.
No, everybody gets lost one time, believe me. And look, I was a lot of time thinking, okay, about the podcast. And so I say I need to I need to have the right time for this. This takes so long that I say, okay, because for me it's not important to express myself. This is done, yeah?
Right.
And the only thing is to give a little bit the experience and what my experience was and what the result out of this experience is. Yeah?
Right.
This is the thing. And
the contribution.
I hope I really hope that we stay a long time, that the sport stay a long time. Really, I hope it. And that what I can do from my side through this, I will do it. Yeah, I will do it.
But you're gonna get back. I mean, you have to get back in like full training and.
Yeah, we will see. We will see.
But you do.
Look, it's so nice in the morning. It was how I stand up. Okay, I put my dog out. Yes, he is beside the bed. He has a little bit space there. Yes. So I go out. I stand up in the morning. Then I need to go to the company. I go down and make my coffee. He stay around me. So then I go with him out. Go with him bicycling. Take the other dogs. Go with them. So this is also what I want to do.
For sure.
And then sometimes I try to do a little bit with him, only short parts, but not like before to go 3 days in a week or every day and training. No.
Yeah.
For this, it's not, I have no time now in this moment. Also, and not the motivation for it.
Yeah, I go back and forth like that, but I guess I got I got 2 young dogs, and I'm doing monitoring with one female 1-year-old. Just because of this, I think, because I kind of want to refresh and do something outside, something that excites me again, you know? Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times it's very hard for somebody that it's very different to be successful one time, and it's a totally different game to be successful over and over and over and over again. And I understand when you say that you lose motivation. I understand 100% what that means, because even if you win another world championship, so what? You won one more world championship. But the time, the effort, the sacrifice, the absolute amount of obsession that goes in to win a world championship.
You need it.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah, it's insane. And you know what the end of the story is? The king is dead. Long live the king.
Right.
And you know, it's every time the same. When you are the hunter and you became the world championship, then you be the fox. Everybody is hunting you. It's normal.
Yeah. We
it's
have
and you know, the biggest problem is the people have no respect for this. The people have no respect for this title. If you're in another kind of sport, the people have respect for you, but in this case, they have no respect. And before I forget it, look, we have in Germany this Iron lady, you know, Christa Bremer.
Yeah.
I know her since more or less since I started dog sport. And I have a lot of fights with her, a lot of fights, but every time from face to face, and never personally, never ever. Yeah. And she also will stop next year in VDH. She was vice president in VDH, and I was, you know, people give a lot of comments. Stupid people give the most stupid comments every time. But that we have her in Germany, she saved the sport for the last years. Of course, she saved it. Otherwise, it will be in another way. We don't have, then I think then we don't have the dog sport. She was doing a lot of things in this way. And then we have this stupid people around who was fighting against her. I don't know if you know it, but it was crazy. Anyway, because this was also for me really important, because this is a woman I have a lot of respect for, what she was doing all the time for us. And she was all the time there when also I was doing a mistake that she stand behind. Because other people don't have the back to do it. You know what I mean? They said, better, okay, we put it away and then it's easier. No, she was fighting for this. And she was understanding it a little bit.
Yeah.
So we met in Italy, or you come to Italy?
I'm not gonna. I think I'm coming to Italy, but I'm not competing because my dog is too young. So the one dog that I have, he's just turned 2 years old, and I'm having a lot of fun. I feel like 20 years ago. That's how excited I am all of a sudden. I might be crazy.
I hope I catch the same moment.
I wish that it comes back at you because it's
yeah, to stay in the field and make a competition is also nice.
Kind of feel like a little kid, you know, like I wake up and I'm like, oh, I need to do dumbbell, you know, like I get excited again, and that I didn't think that I will, which is, you know. But yeah, I definitely want to come, and I think it's important for all of us to find ways to give back, and you know, just how you're talking about her right now, and like we all get burned out. It's not easy, and it's never. It's not a thankful job. I mean, being a judge, being a helper is one thing, but being really in like the bigger organization, like where you are now with FMBB or how you were at FSCA, you're always somebody that most of the time everybody points at you as you're doing it wrong.
Of course. And it was not possible in FCI to bring it on the sporty way. It was not possible. It was short before, but so then you find something and then you are out again. Anyway, right. It's like it is. It's like it is.
This is our biggest problem. I think we have to find ways that we can disagree with each other, strongly disagree with each other, but maintain that ultimate goal for the future. And we don't have it yet. We don't. I don't know. You're still judging, though, right? I mean, you're still going out and judging.
I'm judging. I'm judging now. I think I'm judging now. Was the next judging was in? I think in Spain. Yeah, Spain again. Yeah, in Spain again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was judging a lot. I was judging all over the world. I was judging 4 times VDH.
Right.
In Germany. Yeah.
I just looked at you like, you know, before the podcast. I'm like, man, I don't think I know everything Edgar's done. And that's something that's missing with the young kids. They would go and try to learn something from somebody on YouTube that has a Malinois, that has not done nothing, but has 200 followers. It's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
And all you need to do is go on Working Dog, type Edgar Scherkel's name, go to his profile, and go down and see how many first places in national and world championships, and how many second places. How many followers do you have on YouTube, by the way?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't care.
Exactly.
I don't care about this. I don't care about YouTube or something like this. Really, I don't care.
And this is where I think young people get very, finding who to learn from can be so confusing today. Mm-hmm. Because the kids are used to like, oh, there's 200 or 500 or a million followers. He must be doing something right.
Yes.
No, he's paying
good public relations.
Right. But hopefully,
look, I was also on the point that I say, okay, now you go and make it professional in dog sport, or you stay also and make your job and in your own company. I say, no, this is beside. If the people want me a little bit, I come, I do a little bit. But on the other side, I have my company, and this is where I get my money from, and this is for me the important. Yeah. So this was my decision. Yeah. Also, I understand that people are doing it in another way. Everything is okay. Yeah.
Right.
This is not that I blame them. It's not only for me. This was my way to be also not dependent on it. You know what I mean? Yeah, not dependent on success, blah blah blah. You know what is all around this shit.
Very interesting stuff.
Okay, my friend. I think now I need to walk my dogs. We have a long time podcast.
It was very good one.
Boring in the end, but
very good one. Very appreciated that you found the time to do it, and hopefully I see you in Italy, my friend.
Oh, of course.
Say hello to the family. If I see your daughter, I probably would be like, "Wow, are you kidding me?"
No, they don't will kill you. I can send you a video from her horse jumping. Yeah.
Cool. Maybe we think of, since you're still judging, maybe we figure something out to bring you to Florida again. By the way, outside of everything, like every time with me and my wife, with Natalia, whenever we, like, she always thinks so high of you, because that was her intro to. Yeah.
We was training a lot with the dog from you, the nasty one. Yeah.
All right.
Say hello. Okay.
Thank you so much.
See you, my friend.
Good talking.
Bye-bye.
Take care.